So to get started on the right page and stay on the right page, a few quick housekeeping things. Welcome. I'm Tiffany Neal with the Next Level Nurses. I help untraditional students get into nursing school, crush those classes and clinicals once they are admitted. And then I also help my fellow nurses that are ready to leave bedside or other healthcare professionals that are ready to leave bedside care and pivot into healthcare related business. Specifically, I'm going to be talking more assisted living because that's what I did. I just want to make sure that you guys can see this little quick intro to assisted living, what it is. Can somebody let me know in the chat? Can you see the slides? Okay, great. Perfect. So just to go quickly through assisted living, this is my intro to ALFs, assisted living facilities. They are different than nursing home. Assisted living facilities are going to be smaller, usually single family homes, usually 10 residents or less, typically. And nursing homes are going to be larger. They're going to be more corporate owned as opposed to private, small business owned, family owned, etc. And the benefits to starting assisted living facilities is that compared to other small businesses, it's going to have a lower startup cost in general. You have to secure the property. You don't have to own the property, which is something a lot of people don't know. You can rent your assisted living facility as long as you have a lease that allows you to use that for commercial purposes. You are a-okay. And another benefit is that you can customize your facility to the population of people, the group of people that you feel most connected to, that you know the most about, that you are the most comfortable serving medically and mission wise as well. Okay. So some of the challenges to assisted living is going to be that licensing can be very difficult. You have to stay up to date on your regulations. Those regulations are federal, like when it comes to your fire law, reg, uh, regulations, and passing, the state fire test. That's going to be something that those laws are federal, though your state may do the testing or your city may do the testing. Your health department is usually going to be your city that's doing those inspections and that, type of looking through the paperwork, checking your application. So you have to stay up to date on different levels of regulations, local, state, and national. And also, staffing is a challenge. Not being a huge nursing home means you may not have a ton of positions. You may have one live-in care provider, you may have like one living caregiver, and you may have somebody on the weekends that rotates. So staffing can be a little bit of a challenge as well. We talked about the licensing. It's hard. This is an example of the initial application that's needed in Baltimore City and Maryland. Okay, the regulating body there is called the Office of Healthcare Quality, which is OHCQ for short. And so they want a physical sketch of the entire building, looks like a blueprint, basically. They want a statement called uniform disclosure. They want a dietitian approved 4-week menu with different entrees every week, different meals every week. They want to see the fire inspection, which we talked about. They want to see your zoning approval from the city, and that can include use and occupancy. They want to see these things. They want to make sure, do you have workers' comp insurance? Are you exempt from that? Do you offer health insurance? Are you exempt from that? There's a lot that goes into licensing, but I promise you that it's worth it. Then once you get through the red tape of just figuring out how to fill out the application, you do have to go for an inspection. There could be multiple rounds of inspections. There's a fire inspection. Sometimes there's a zoning inspection. Sometimes there is a health board inspection and like a healthcare and quality office inspection. Depends on what region you're in. What inspections are typical? They're going to go through the house, check your fire extinguishers. They're going to go through your house, check the temperature of your water, check the temperature of the food in your fridge, things like that. Okay. It's intense, but there are ways to prepare for this skillfully and to be ready for it. Okay. This is not impossible. And there are laws that are tedious, but you know, they're crucial because they protect the residents in your home. Okay. So I'm going to exit out of this now because I just want to give you a basic definition of what is assisted living, how is it different than nursing home. The nursing home regulations are going to be a little more stringent, but assisted living is a little more relaxed because it is supposed to be a care home setting. The residents are supposed to feel at home, not like they're in a business or they're in a hospital. It's not corporate run. It's small business. It's an individual, a family, a team, etc. So moving forward, now that we know what assisted living facilities are, single family homes, typically they can also be row homes and sometimes apartments or condos that have been designated to care for people who have specific disabilities. They can be physical disabilities, they can be psychiatric disabilities and illnesses, they can be emotional, behavioral, etc. Right? So, what are these 5 strengths that I'm talking about today? The first strength that I want you to consider that is going to help you build a blueprint that's for you, that's not applicable to everybody, is what specialized education and training do you have? And before you think, I don't have any specialized education, I promise you that you have some insight, some background, some training that is going to help you with the specific type of person that needs assisted living services. When we think about assisted living, or residential care homes, typically people think of the elderly, but that's not the only type of person that needs help with their activities of daily living that will benefit from being in an assisted living facility. Okay. So when I'm talking about specialized training, do you know how to pass medication? Are you a certified med tech? Okay. Are you a certified nursing assistant? Are you a licensed practical nurse, otherwise known as an LPN? Are you a registered nurse? Are you a licensed social worker? Are you a licensed family and marriage therapist? You don't think that these are giving you special training that would apply to assisted living, but it absolutely does. Do you have your BSN, your Bachelor of Science in Nursing? Are you a respiratory therapist? Are you a speech language pathologist? Do you work as a physical therapist or a physical therapist tech? Are you a physician assistant? Are you a nurse practitioner? Are you a medical doctor? These are all on the provider side, on the healthcare side, but other specialized training and education that can help are even things like human relations, HR, specialty, MBAs, business, people who have already owned another business. I've helped someone who worked in law enforcement where you wouldn't think that that translated, but they ran their house excellently and their residents were very happy. They felt very safe and secure. Okay. I've had someone involved in marketing as well that has opened up an assistant living facility that I helped them with because there's more that goes into a successful assisted living facility or any healthcare business than just the actual patient care. The patient care is the cornerstone of everything that we do, but it's not the only thing that we do. To make the business run, we have to do budgeting. We have to put together marketing plans. We have to plan community events to get that client acquisition, to build relationships in the community. We have to do our taxes. We have to take inventory of what we have in the home. There are all types of moving pieces. So whatever your specialty is, whatever your strength is, whatever your training and education is, that can not only just tell you maybe what population you want to work with, but it can tell you kind of what would your role be in the facility that you're planning to create. It may be more hands-on, it may be more back of the house, right? There's no right or wrong. This is your strength, your strength. So my strength is front of the house, but your strength may be back of the house. keeping up with the regulations, keeping up with the paperwork, preparing for the inspections, keeping the client's books or papers, documentation regulated, scheduling appointments for them with their primary care physician, with their therapist, with their physical therapist, with their specialist. That may be your skill, even just transporting the client safely from point A to point B. People who work, transport in the hospital will be like, I can't do anything. No, there's something that everybody can do, and you can use that specialized training and education to play your role and to know, do I need to fill other people into additional roles in order to make this dream a reality? The second strength is that you already know you have a deep affinity to a specific group of patients. I bet you, whether that be from personal experience or from professional experience. Does anybody know what population they really are like, I go hard for? Like, I love them. I love my little gray haired ladies, 80 and above. Maybe that's a special population. Maybe it's, I love veterans. That is a strength. Whatever population is calling to you, that is a strength because you know something about them, you feel connected to them, you're already encouraged to serve them and to be with them in some way. And that is a strength. That's something that is unique to you that can help you figure out what your roadmap to business ownership is going to be. So maybe you thought, I wanted to do assisted living facility, but my special population is, you know, the women who like to do different aesthetic treatments, right? Then maybe assistant living, if you are interested in beauty, in glamour, in fashion. I have somebody saying yes. Okay, I have somebody saying psych. Yes, I have somebody saying beauty. Then if it's beauty, assistant living may not be quite it. Maybe it is more of the medical spa business model that would apply to you, where you can give those medical grade treatments to beautify women or men or a certain population, a certain region. Maybe that is that strength that you'll identify. I have an eye for beauty. I'm skilled with beauty. I know it looks good. I know it doesn't look good. And I want to do this instead. With psych, that is an excellent special population that you can work with. Very exciting. So psych is my specialty. And that is, one of the reasons I went back to school, even after being a business owner and having assisted living facility, was I wanted to learn more and I wanted to do more hands-on in the realm of psych. And I wanted to end up being a provider in the realm of psychiatry. So I wanted to become a psychiatric mental health nurse practitioner. That was the end goal for me. And I'm chugging along happily on my journey, learning a lot and doing a lot. But psych is great. I knew I am not a particularly strong person physically, right? But mentally and emotionally, I'm strong. I like to connect to people. I love to chat. I have the gift of gab, right? So I didn't want to have clients that if S hits the fan, I'm not sure that if they are physically disabled, that I can help them in the way that they need if I have no staff with me, right? That's like a nightmare situation for me. If I can't do a successful transfer from the bed to the wheelchair because a client is wheelchair bound, that's a nightmare for me. I don't want to have to worry about that. And I don't want that physically taxing labor to be something that my staff has to worry about day in and day out. And then you're thinking about throwing your back out, and especially talking to nurses that are ready to transition out of bedside, they don't necessarily want that tough physical labor either, right? So psych is a good thing because your clients, also known as your residents, they're going to have psychiatric conditions that are maintained with taking medication, at regular intervals, and you're going to assure that they are able to take their medication, that they live in a very tranquil and peaceful environment with lots of mental stimulation, with the opportunity to go out and do workshops or do like adult daycare facility and things like that to enrich them during the day and come back to somewhere safe and peaceful and calm. And usually those residents are younger. So you can have residents as young as in their early 30s that have psychiatric conditions, that may have PTSD, may have depression, may have bipolar disorder, may have schizophrenia, right? There's varying levels of severity to these disorders. But again, when you are the owner, you get to screen for, hey, I really love my bipolar residents. I really connect with my manic, residents and being able to help them come back down to baseline, or my depressed residents and being able to pull them back up to baseline. So psych is a really good specialty and it's not as taxing on the body as other specialties can be. So your special population that calls to you is your second strength. Your first strength is what specialized education and training that you have. And these are going to help you build your roadmap to the perfect assisted living facility or healthcare based business in general. Now, the third strength is, do you have detailed insight professionally or personally, like within your family, of a specific diagnosis or community? This is different than an interest in a special population, right? Or an affinity. Do you have detailed insight? There are assisted living homes that cater to certain cultural groups, right? There are certain assisted living facilities that cater to certain religious groups, that cater to certain people of a specific age group. You don't want someone that is in their mid 40s necessarily with a bunch of clients that are in their 70s and 80s. They're going to be in different generations, have different interests. That's going to affect the cohesion of the home, unless you want to specifically create a facility that is like a multi-generational family, right? But if you have specialized insight into a specific group, like another example would be veterans. And I saw that somebody put something about working with the VA in the chat as well. Yes, veterans. If you have special insight, if you are a veteran, if you're related to veterans, if you have been, involved or in proximity to people who serve the United States Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines, etc., right? You have a population that you know about, that you have insight into what their needs are, what their wants are, and what supports they and their families may need, that is another strength to uncover. So if you had detailed insight, even around a certain lifestyle, culture, lifestyle, profession, age group, religious group, these things are strengths that you can use to cue yourself into what type of facility is really going to be playing to my strengths instead of working against it. And speaking of working against it, your fourth strength is going to be, who don't you want to work with? Because the population that you really don't want to work with is the equivalent of negative targeting in marketing. If you want to set up an advertising campaign for something, let's say I want to set up an advertising campaign to target people that are in their first year of nursing school, right? I'm going to set up negative targeting. I'm going to set up certain keywords that if they're searching for this, I don't want that person. If they're searching for graduation presents, I don't want my book on the first year of nursing school to pop up in their search results, right? If you are like, I care about my grandparents, but I don't really love and feel positive about the older generation in general, that's a clue. And that's a gift. And that's a strength because it's letting you know, let's cut that whole possibility out for now, right? And let's focus on the things that we like. So the population that you dislike, that you're not really feeling, that's going to be a strength because it's letting you know who you can eliminate off the board. If you if you are a respiratory therapist, right? And you are trying to get away from bedside because you don't like doing care for people who have trachs, then you already know this is not a population I want to focus on. And that's going to help you narrow down your marketing materials. It's going to help you narrow down your business plan. You know where you're not going to be advertising and trying to acquire residents from, right? So that is actually a strength. People say, oh, I don't want to limit, I want to be as generic as possible. No, you want to be as specific as reasonable in your region, right? And the last thing that we would think of as our fifth strength is going to be our own personality strengths and weaknesses, because not only can that clue us into who we should be targeting, it can also clue us into our role and what supports we need. So if you're looking at, for me, where you are in your life affects these personality traits as well, right? If you are high resilience and you are highly social, then you may want to build in your marketing plan going to senior centers, going, if you are targeting veterans, like someone put in the chat, going to the VA and doing lunch and learns, doing seminars, right? Going to community centers, going to rehab facilities. If you are like someone who does physical therapy, or you like that more physical, work, and you want residents that are in rehab or that are focused on maximizing their physical strength and ability, right? You're going to want to go to rehab facilities and chat, right? Talk to the owner, talk to the techs, talk to the therapists, and let them know, hey, when this person is ready to get discharged, if they're not quite ready to go back home, they still need help with ADLs. Let them know that my facility specializes in this, and it's owned by a physical therapist, it's owned by occupational therapists. If you are somebody who likes psych and you love to talk like me, then you can set up those meetings. You can set up, I want to meet with social workers. I want to chat with social workers and make those inroads. And if you are not, and you are like, I just want this house to be full, I don't have the emotional, the social capacity to do all of that, I'm like low resilience, low interest in social stuff, then you may want to then strategize. I want to work with a referral agency where I give them the specific specs of the type of residents that I want. I say I want residents between 40 and 55 that are veterans, that have VA benefits, or veteran spouses, right? That have VA benefits, that are able to walk and talk with assistance. You can say light assistance, a cane, a walker, moderate assistance, right? You specify the level, that do not need help with toileting or that do need help with toileting. You give them all your specs, and they have an entire network of facilities, hospitals, social workers, all types of centers, community centers, and things like that, that they're tapped into, as well as individual families that they may be tapped into that are going through life transitions where, okay, well, we were taking care of Granny, but now Granny has to move here, or Granny did live with us, or Auntie did live with us with the schizophrenia diagnosis, but now we have to relocate. Those referral agencies are tapped into the community, they're tapped into families, they're tapped into social workers, they're tapped into these different networks, and they can say, hey, you said, all females from age 40 to 55 that can walk with light assistance, that do not need help with toileting, that may have mental health diagnosis, that may be a veteran, and we have 3 clients, and this is their spec sheet. This is the family. This is what they're able to pay. Do you want to meet with them and see if this is a good fit and potentially prepare for intake? So knowing your own personality, your own strengths and weaknesses can go ahead and help you not just select the right population and figure out your role within your own business, but it can also help you to make a plan for how you're going to get clients, how you're going to get staff. Are you going to be the person, if you are an introvert, that does all of the interviews for high turnover positions, right? Knowing your personality strengths and weaknesses is going to help you make a realistic roadmap. One of the things that's very demoralizing in any business is when we come up with an idea in our head that I'm going to be able to do A, B, C, and D. And then when in practice, we realize D is not even an option. I can't do C, and I can't find anyone else that does. And B, I'm actually not that great at it. So you want to, in the early planning stages, plan for who you are and plan for your individual strengths so that you do not demoralize yourself as things progress, right? So I'm just curious, are people, I'm a psych girly. I like to know stuff about psych. Are people in here? Are we introverts? Are we extroverts? Do we know what region, what population you want to work with? Do we have special certifications, special training, special education that we're already thinking like, I have to incorporate this into my plan? Any detailed insights into special communities? Like some people may say, I am of Arabic heritage and descent, Middle Eastern descent, right? And I speak, this language, and I want to have a facility that is set up around that cultural identity because I have detailed insight and an affinity for that community. That is something that's a strength because no matter what your specialty is, your interest is, there are people that need that. And there is someone that is saying, it would be so nice if I could help my aunt get into a facility that just specializes in this. It would be nice if I could put my grandfather in a facility where everyone there is focused on neuro rehab. Everyone there is our stroke survivors. So the staff is trained on brain injuries. The staff is trained on, you know, American Sign Language if there are people there that are nonverbal. Um, one of our participants says, I'm an introvert. I want to work with cancer patients. Absolutely. That is a field that's growing, and that is a specialty that is available for people who are going through cancer treatment. And so they need a facility that is skilled as far as protecting the immune system, that has those standards and that awareness and education on what type of, chemotherapy medicine they may be receiving, radiation treatments they may be receiving, um, as well as offering that emotional support during and after cancer treatment too. So that's a really interesting. We're going to go ahead and end the live now, and I will see you next Monday. Feel free to email any of your questions to team@thenextlevelnurses.com, and I will consider them for topics in the upcoming week. All right. Have a great night, guys. Bye.